Well, it don't really matter. It don't really matter. Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Lots to talk about this afternoon. We've had a story coming in from Manchester Evening News. Quite a wider range of updates. Some involving Paul Pogba and his future at Manchester United and what his future was meant to be at Manchester United. Two more signings after Raphael Varane. A bit of an injury scare around Luke Shaw as well. What are the midfield options? What will be happening next at Manchester United? Also an update on Outgoings. This all from the Manchester Evening News this morning, all from Samuel Luckhurst, who's their chief Manchester United correspondent, and as I've said before, without question, will have info that comes from the club. So very much a lot of information. In relation to Varane, we will have a little bit of an update about Varane, but I don't want to dwell on Varane massively on this show because there's a lot of other stuff I want to sort of get into. On Varane, all we can say is closer than close. Closer than you ever can imagine. It's close. But let's start off with two more signings after Varane, because I think this is, I just want to hold that thought for a minute. What I was about to say is we've basically got Varane and Sancho done, and I just know how clippable those little things are. Varane is a player. I mean, to be honest, you know what? Up yours, sod it. I've said too much that it'll get clipped if Varane falls through. Now, what did Del Boy always used to say? He who dares wins, Rodney. He who dares. And I think that, he who dares does win. We've basically got Varane done. We've got Sancho done. And I think beyond those two players, what will we do after that? Because there is no doubting that the quality of those two players are absolutely magnificent. And I said that this morning and I'll say it again now. Sancho and Varane, Liverpool would take them. Chelsea would take them. Maybe Man City wouldn't take them because they don't want Sancho back. But, most clubs. Bayern Munich would take them. That's the quality. That's the smile on your face this afternoon. That is what we're talking about. That is what we're talking about. I'm literally tickling your feet, if that makes you laugh. Not tickling anything else. But put a smile on your face because Sancho and Varane, Juventus would want them. Real Madrid would want them. Real Madrid want Varane. They've got Varane. They don't want to lose Varane. They'd love Sancho. Every team in football would love Sancho and Varane, and they are coming to Manchester United, and that is absolutely fantastic. But what they've put in the Manchester Evening News today, and what Samuel Luckhurst has said, is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could be backed for up to two more signings at Manchester United. Two more after Sancho and Varane. And what was stated was there are three options in that two more signings. A backup right back, as we know, or is it even fair to call them a backup? Because what was written in the article was quite interesting. A midfielder, and again, another centre-back, which I think is really interesting. I've been speaking to some people about that this afternoon. That with regards to the... Samuel Luckhurst has mentioned this quite a few times now, that Manchester United are not closed off to bringing two centre-backs in. And I don't know why this keeps being mentioned, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but it's definitely an option for United. So two more signings after Varane and Sancho. We don't count Tom Heaton. I know he seems like a nice lad, but Tom Heaton to me, he's a little bit like when you buy one of them magazines, and I'm not talking about porn. I mean, like if you get GQ or something like that, or if you're Woman and Home or whatever, and inside there you get a little tester aftershave or deodorant or something like that. That's what Tom Heaton is. He's a freebie. He's not a transfer. We haven't paid for that. We ain't paid for the magazine, Tom Heaton. He's come as a freebie with inside a paid magazine. So we're not counting him. Varane isn't like Sancho deal. We need to strike a deal with Madrid ASAP. There can be competition from Chelsea. And which CDM would you prefer, says Pratic? Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. So two signings beyond Sancho and Varane is what we're talking about today. And it's been mentioned in the Manchester Evening News that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could be backed for up to two more signings. Trippier is definitely the player that United are looking at. Kieran Trippier, Ollie will be backed on Trippier. And the reason that we're looking at Trippier is that United are concerned about the attacking prowess of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Now, if you look at Luke Shaw, and I'll bring Luke Shaw's injury scare in here. Daniel's just got a ticket for Leeds. Well done, mate. I would say that Luke Shaw's attacking outputs is brilliant. It's not just about goals and assists. It's his work rate. It's how he joins the attack. It's the space he makes. I think some people think an attacking fullback, well, how many goals have they got? How many assists have they got? And I think, you know what? It's not always about that. It's not always about what your final delivery is. It's the role you've had in the contribution for the team. You see Luke Shaw, sometimes he'll go bombing past Rashford and Rashford's on the ball. Sometimes Rashford will pass it to Luke Shaw, but sometimes he won't. But Luke Shaw will take a player away, which creates space for Rashford to do something else. So Luke Shaw's attacking contribution in goals and assists, I think we know he's a valuable asset to the team, but he also makes so many things happen with his constant stamina. I think Wan-Bissaka on the right-hand side has improved, but obviously it's not enough at the moment as an attacking outlet for Manchester United, and therefore Kieran Trippier would bring us that and would bring ready-made competition. So Trippier is definitely, I would say, an option, very much a priority signing for Manchester United this summer. They do want to do that deal. He does want to come back to England. He is a boyhood Manchester United fan, and to finish his career up back in Manchester playing for Manchester United. I saw somebody saying today it's that Cinderella thing, isn't it? You know, it's finishing your career. I don't know what can't be Cinderella. He's not going to get married. No one's going to try and fit a shoe on his foot. But I suppose whoever sponsors him might. But yeah, it's fantasy for Trippier to finish his career at Manchester United. So I think United can do that deal. I do think it will drag on a little bit. I do think Atletico Madrid are digging their heels in a bit, and we'll see what happens. Hi Mark, I just became a member of the channel. Question, could Jesse play in the midfield alongside Pogba instead of Fred or McTominay? God, no, Cam. No. Since when is Jesse Lingard a centre midfielder? And Nicola says, hi Mark, I think Solskjaer is doing a great job. The turnaround from the mess of former managers and the board is bigger than many here understand, says Nicola. And Maguire means my son. In Tamil, Magan means my son, and my son gives me migraine. Hope this Magan is different, says Sheikh. Yeah, I have called them Magan, haven't I, for Maguire and Varane. If we get a CDM, then our squad size really is silly. Our bench will be amazing, but I worry about how many won't get in the squad. We need to loan about 6, says Loz. Good point. We're talking about bringing 2 more players in, and we do need to offload players, definitely. I'm amazed at the amount of people haven't noticed I've had a haircut, by the way. I'm still uneasy about Sancho. I know what all parties are saying about this. It's probably just a wait, but I haven't forgotten about the fax machine and their sly, devious ways. I don't trust them all at all, says AJ Singh. And welcome to the members club, Thomas Stalos. Thank you very much for joining the members club. If you have joined it, you get your little badge next to your name, like Ron it has. But I think with Sancho, it's done. You know, it is Jadon Sancho to Manchester United is definitely done. I think we are holding off. Maybe we're holding off for 5 o'clock today. Maybe we're holding off for 5 o'clock in 2 weeks. I don't know why United are doing this, but they know why they're doing it. This deal can be announced whenever they want it to do. Maybe they're waiting for Sancho to come back from his holiday. You know, maybe Sancho's gone on a week's holiday. He's going to be back at the weekend or early next week. I feel the longer this goes, and it could happen today, but the longer it goes, the more likely is that they're probably just waiting for Jadon Sancho to come back so they can do loads of photographs and reveals, because he didn't have a lot of time between the medical and going on holiday. Do you think Camavinga being at the Olympics will slow the deal, says Jacob Brown? He's not at the Olympics, apparently. So there we go. He's not at the Olympics. So yes, we're talking at the moment about, and Ishan says this summer could go one of 2 ways. Lose Pogba now, keep Van der Beek and get Camavinga, or lose Pogba next season, lose Van der Beek now and get Camavinga. I prefer the first one, says Ishan. Well, I want to talk about Pogba because he was spoken about today in the Manchester Evening News. There's an update from Samuel Lucas, but I want to just finish off what we're saying here. So 2 more signings after Varane is what we're talking about, and Solskjaer could be backed with up to 2 more signings. Trippier will be one of those. There are 3 options. So right back, Trippier. Centre midfielder is the next one, and I think this is the one that Manchester United really want to bring in. And Cam, talking about midfielder again, says, I'm just trying to find a way for Jesse to be in the squad. He's a brilliant player and it'll be sad seeing him inevitably go. I don't think it is sad, Sam, to be honest. Cam, don't be a sad Sam, it's sad Cam. I don't think it is sad to see to see Jesse go. I think it's the right thing. I think the squad is burdened with attacking talent, and I think Lingard's somebody we can actually bring some money in for, so I would definitely let Lingard go. But midfield is an option for Manchester United. What they're talking about in the Manchester Evening News in this article is that Camavinga is an option for United. He's not an advanced option like was suggested last week, but Manchester United are monitoring the situation. So Camavinga is an option, but may not be as advanced as some people think. Declan Rice is an option that United like, but is basically priced out of the move, so they may have to go other options. No other options are named. This is the thing. United are open to the idea of bringing a midfielder in, but it's clearly not a priority. And that, to me, is what frustrates me, is that this centre defensive midfielder that you and everybody else can see United need, United don't seem to have prioritised it. They don't seem to have anything in the pipeline. They don't seem to be urgently seeking the one position which I think will take United from being an exciting team to a genuinely title contending team. You've got to get that centre defensive midfielder in. If we're thinking it's Fred, we're thinking it's Matic, we're thinking it's McTominay, risk, and more risk. It could work. It could work, but we didn't see it work last year, and I don't know what's going to change this year. But we need to bring somebody in that midfield. As I said, Camavinga is an option. It's not advanced as some people would like it to be. Declan Rice is admired, but we don't have the cash. And then other options, there are no names. Harry Winks was mentioned a few weeks ago as a backup option. Who we are looking at, what we are looking at in that midfield situation, I don't know. We're not in for him, but Barca are selling. Dest says Raz Mitchell. And also, this summer could go on. We've done that one. And welcome to Joe Bates, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. I will give you some options for the midfield. Basuma, Zakaria, they're two straight away that we could look at. There are options for Manchester United. Canal supporters say Pogba bid from PSG of 83 million has been put on the table. Remind me of that, Christian. I will come back to that. I don't personally think that source is very good, and I'll explain why in a minute. But I certainly have Pogba on the list to talk to. So we're talking 2 more signings after Varane. We know Trippier's an option. We know a midfield's an option. A further centre-back has been mentioned quite a lot by Manchester Evening News and Samuel Luckhurst over the last few weeks. And I think we all want to say this is a load of nonsense. But you can't ignore a load of nonsense just because you don't want it to be so. I mean, I wanted to ignore us buying Fellaini a few years ago and it still happened. I don't think we can ignore the fact that this keeps getting mentioned, that United are open to bringing in another centre-back. I don't understand why. And I think I do understand why. Maguire, Varane, Lindelof. Jones, forget about it, he's injury prone. Eric Bailly signed a new contract, but that was just all about keeping his value. I don't think we have had any intention of playing Eric Bailly as a first choice centre-back, which is what he wants to be. So Jones and Bailly could both be looking for moves or are both going to get injured. Twansebi wants a loan deal, we might even sell him. Mengi's going to get a loan deal. So basically we have only got 3 centre-backs. We've got Maguire, we've got Varane, if we get him, and we've got Lindelof. So you can sort of see why we're looking at one. Who we would go for is interesting, and I don't know what you would look at there. With Sancho and Varane almost done, we've spent around 120 million. What CDM will we get? Camavinga is difficult, like you mentioned, maybe Sander Berg. Amit, I wouldn't sleep on Sander Berg. I know there's nothing being mentioned about Sander Berg, but nothing is being mentioned about him anyway. He won't stay at Sheffield United. They got relegated. Hi, Mark. Are United interested in Griezmann? Wouldn't have thought so, Dan. I wouldn't have thought so. At how much is he on? 800 grand a week or something like that. So no, I don't think that'll happen. Do you have an updated percentage on Camavinga, says Luke? Well, I want to get into some of your questions in a minute. I'm just trying to get through the news, but I would say I'm probably still about 30%, but I'll come back onto that. So if United are looking at another centre-back, we do like Pau Torres, we do like Koundé, but they're going to cost you the same price as what we've paid for Varane. You are not going to spend 50 million quid on a backup centre-back because that's what they will be. So it's interesting that we keep hearing that United want another centre-back after Varane. But if we're going to get another centre-back after Varane, where's that money going to come from? And I don't know is the answer. You know, we'd probably have to sell Eric Bailly, and you could probably get 20 million for Bailly. I would, if United are going to bring another centre-back in, if we've got Maguire, Varane and Lindelof, and we need another centre-back because Jones is no good and Bailly leaves and Twansebi goes, then I'd like it to be Twansebi, but he wants to play first-team football. I'd bring in a Badashil. I'd go for somebody like that. I'd bring somebody in for about 25 million quid, a youngster, a young centre-back. But I don't know. I don't know what United are thinking about in relation to that. I mean, Rambia says you could do Bailly plus 25 million for Pau Torres. You could do that, but he's a player that's going to want to play first-team football. So I think it's really interesting that United have spotted that they might be short at centre-back, even if they bring Varane in. But they don't really have anybody that they can play there. And, you know, we've even had people saying we'll go to a back 5. So I don't know. Hi, Mark. I love the haircut. Do you think in the next 5 years when we get Varane, Sancho and CDM, do you think we could win the league, says Vede? I would hope so. I don't think Varane's coming here to not win things. But then, anyway, let me just close off that first topic. Solskjaer's 2 more transfers after Varane. This was in the Manchester Evening News today that Manchester United could be willing to back up Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for a further 2 signings. They'll certainly look to back him up on getting Trippier in, which would be 1. And then the next signing could be a midfielder, but Camavinga, not really advanced. Rice, too expensive. Other options, we don't know who. Could be another centre-back. They could be looking at bringing another centre-back in. I think it's obvious at this point Ollie sees McTominay as the CDM, so therefore it's not a priority to sign another one, which might be the scariest reality, says Sean. I hope against QPR at the weekend that Scott McTominay plays as a lone CDM. Because if he's going to get this job, he needs to get it and grasp it, and all we need to see is not good enough ASAP. I don't think McTominay's a centre defensive midfielder, and I think anybody that... Right, imagine Scott McTominay becomes the new Kimmich in the next 18 months. In 18 months' time, there will be people going, I always had McTominay's back. I always said he was a good player. La, 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 bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Right, the reality is anybody here, right now, have you ever seen any United fan, not back McTominay, there's a lot of people who back McTominay, have you ever seen a United fan at any time in recent months say Scott McTominay is definitely going to be one of the best centre defensive midfielders that this country's ever seen, this Premier League's ever seen? No. A lot of people like McTominay, but he betrays no attributes at all that he can take the ball off the back four, run a game, read a game, and conduct a game. He doesn't show that. So if we're going to see it, we're all going to be surprised, I think. Do you think Griezmann would have been good for us? Says it's Craig. No, don't want Griezmann. Traitor, absolute traitor. He led us up the garden path and then turned away. I mean, he literally was coming to United. Atletico Madrid got the transfer ban and he said, I'm going to stay here. And, fair play to him for that, but not me. He's not for us. No, he betrayed us. Don't want Griezmann. So that's that first update. If we get Camavinga, do you think Ollie will use him in the CDM or box-to-box role? Says Brian Gallagher. I don't know whether he'll use him at all, Brian. I mean, I don't think we'll get Camavinga. Just before we move on, I don't think we'll get Camavinga. I'm not confident on Camavinga. I've been very confident on Varane, obviously Sancho, and I'm confident about Trippier, but I'm not confident about Camavinga. I just don't feel like we will get him. Welcome to the Members Club, Arjun. So let's move on. Before I talk about the outgoings, this is all from the Manchester Evening News I'm talking about. Samuel Luckhurst is the chief Manchester United correspondent. He does have sources within the club. So he's spoken about 2 more signings potentially after Varane. Also mentioned Paul Pogba. Quite an update on Paul Pogba, actually. He said Paul Pogba is settled for now, but has looked to leave Manchester United numerous times in recent years. He's settled. His family is settled in Cheshire, and could well be settled there for another year and just stay for that final year that we've already spoken about. But long term at Manchester United, not really any indication that Pogba's plans are there. And also mentioned in the same article that back in 2016, Pogba's head was probably more leaning towards going to Real Madrid when he was at Juventus, not Manchester United. And it says in this article that Raiola actually basically persuaded Pogba to come to Manchester United with a view that 3 years later he would get him his move to Real Madrid. He's actually ended up being at United for 5 years. That was not part of Pogba's plan. Pogba's plan was Real Madrid, and he never thought he would be staying at United this long. So look, as John Lennon said, life's what happens whilst you're busy making other plans. I think the plan with Raiola and Pogba was to get him a move to Real Madrid far sooner than 5 years in. It's just not worked out. You've had COVID, whatever. Real Madrid didn't go for him at the time, maybe 3 years ago. Now Real Madrid can't afford him. Zidane's not there anymore. But Pogba at the moment, PSG are not in talks with Manchester United. There is this story from France that PSG are hot on the tails of getting Paul Pogba. He wants to go to PSG. A deal could be done for about £80 million, and it's going to happen in the next few weeks. But I don't think this is the case. I don't believe that source. This article that I'm talking about from Samuel Luckhurst says that there's not anything. They've not been in contact with Manchester United, so there's not been any bid. if we got £80 million for Paul Pogba, I think everyone would say take it. He's got 1 year left on his deal. I think we would all take £80 million. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Paul Pogba, as I said last night, I think he stays at Manchester United for another year and he runs his contract down. If United got offered £80 million for Paul Pogba and Paul Pogba said he wanted to go, United would sign the deal right now. Right here, right now, they would sign it. Because £80 million for Paul Pogba is the right deal. And if Pogba wants to go, you do that deal. Because in a year's time, you're getting nothing. But I think this is just one of the worst stories I've read about Paul Pogba. It just won't happen. If anything, it'll get some people feeling excited. It just won't happen. So we don't need to dwell on that. Thoughts on Sigurdsson, Mark, says Joe Bagger. Well, I'm not getting into that because this is not an Everton channel, and I'm not going to speculate on things that I've got no knowledge about. All I've seen is what everyone else has seen on Twitter, and at this moment in time, I'm not going to comment on it any more than that. Want to see Pogba go? Had enough of that saga, says the Delta 57, who's one of our members. I can see the badge there. Nobody speak about him, but what about Renato Sanchez, says Ryan. Yeah, good player, Ryan, but I think if you want a Sabitzer or you want a Renato Sanchez, you'd have to remove Paul Pogba from the club first. And maybe that's what United are thinking about with Camavinga. Maybe they're thinking with Camavinga that he would come in as a replacement for Paul Pogba. Maybe that's what United are looking at. But I don't see it. I don't see him coming to Manchester United at all. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see Paul Pogba leaving Manchester United this summer. So, no, I don't. Also, just wrapping up this Manchester Evening News article by Samuel Luckhurst talking about outgoings from the club. Expected that these outgoings, a little bit of clarity here, and it makes a lot of sense as well. Expected that the outgoings from Manchester United will not start to happen until August. We're now on the 20th of July, which means we've just got under 2 weeks to go before August kicks in. And, still just under 4 weeks before the start of the season. So, plenty of time to go. But the theory about the outgoings is that at the moment, so many first team squad players are not part of the training camp because they're all, having holidays from the Euros, etc. I mean, how many players are we still missing from the Euros? De Gea, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, Pogba, Bruno, Rashford, Sancho, Fred, Cavani from the Copa America. So that's 10 off the top of my head, and there will be more. There'll be more than that. So these players like Lingard, Pereira, who may be going, who may not be going, they're actually really important to Ollie at the moment because we've got pre-season games to play and he doesn't have many senior pros. So the feeling is that with the outgoings, they will start to happen in August when everybody else starts to come back and these players get a reality bite of where they are. Because at the moment, if you're Jesse Lingard or you're Andreas Pereira, you're going to play against QPR on Saturday. The final friendly game, I think, which is Everton, isn't it, just before Leeds? Those two players will do well to get the bench. So they might get a reality bite then. Pogba being sold is probably the best outcome because, let's be honest, he ain't staying. But do you bring in a centre midfielder replacement or a specialist CDM, says Cam Armstrong? Well, I think we need a specialist CDM. McTominay for a backup centre-back says get in, get out, get in. And where do you think... what do you think of the new kit? Reminds me of the famous pic of the museum with George Best. They're playing a lot of nostalgia for shirt sales, says AJ Singh. I'm not really a kit person. I'm sure it'll grow on me. People saying Pogba going is positive or senseless, says Julianne. And any more news online? Shaw's broken ribs, says Nick Ryan. Well, I wanted to bring this in. Luke Shaw has been a bit of an injury scare because Luke Shaw has a rib issue. And I think he had this during the Euros. I think he might have had it with United towards the end of the season. But effectively, he's been playing with a rib problem. What I've been told is that the concerns around Luke Shaw shouldn't be concerns. He's resting now, and he'll be resting for the next week or two. He's on his holidays, and he'll, the rest that he's going to get now will mean he'll be fine for the start of the season. So nothing to worry about too much. Apparently it happened in the Germany game, says Josh. But he's expected to be fine. And the rest and recuperation that he's getting now, he should be okay. White Owl hates the kit. So Outgoings probably going to happen in August. Pereira is available. He's not available free of charge, but he is available, and it's expected that nobody will buy him, so he'll go on loan. Jones they want to offload, but how do you offload that? It really is, selling Phil Jones is like trying to sell. So if you're in McDonald's and you buy a Big Mac meal and you leave some of it, it's like picking that Big Mac meal up and trying to sell it to a new customer. They're not going to buy it. They want a fresh one. And Phil Jones is always injured. I don't think anyone's going to buy him. Jesse Lingard, future is still not decided, according to the Manchester Evening News. So we'll have to just wait and see what happens on that one. When you're back on Twitch, says Oliver Beck. Tonight I'll be back on Twitch at about 10:30. I'm just deciding whether to do a bit of F1 or Grand Theft Auto. I don't know which one I'm going to do, but I will be back on tonight. Zakaria and Bissouma are average at best. Even if they're better than McFred, we can't just buy average players as they aren't long term, says Leo. Right, Bissouma absolutely is better than McTominay and Fred. He's not average, in my opinion. He's not average. So, I don't even know what you're trying to say, Leo, because you're saying Bissouma's average. Even if he's better than McFred, we can't just buy average players. Well, I don't really get the point. Happy Eid to you, Mark, and the rest of United Stan family, says Rez1. Thank you very much, pal. And happy Eid to everybody else. Nick P says, if some miracle happened and we get 80 million for Pogba, I wouldn't expect our board to add it to the kitty. Let's not let them off another 50 million net transfer window as per every year, says Nick P. Good point. Net spend is always important at United. It is. We've not had a net spend of more than 70 million for quite a while now. OJ Harrison says, Buxton FC have tweeted a picture of Andres Pereira training at their ground. They are in the Northern Premier League. Has he found his level? Says AJ Harrison. And Mark, I think that's probably, I don't know why Pereira would be training with them. I think United are in a training camp down south, but I don't know where. Mark, if we just bought in Varane and Sancho, what would be your minimum requirement from next season? League challenge and a cup, quarters in the Champions League, says Amit. You know what? I was getting tired of this morning, Amit, and I'm not getting tired of you. Thank you very much for the super chat, but I don't. Obviously, before the season starts, I will sit there and give a prediction of where I think we'll finish in the Premier League, but I don't think this helps anybody, because until the very end of the season, you don't know where you've finished anyway. And I think expectations with Manchester United need to be that you're going to win the league every year. You've got to expect to win the league. But, where we are at the moment, do I expect us to win the league next season? No, I don't. So I'm not going to put any minimum expectations. What I did last season is I set a points expectation, and I think I said I would like to see us getting 75, 80 points. We nearly did it, but we finished second, so you've got to take that as a positive. For me, next season, I want United to hit 80 points. If we can hit 80 points next season and beyond, then we'll have a very good season. That's what I expect. With regards to cups are, it's pointless predicting cups, because I can say that I think we should get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and I think we should. But if you pull out Bayern Munich in the round before, you might not get there. It's a bit like the Euros, isn't it? Germany against England. Germany wouldn't have expected not to get to the quarterfinals, but they played England and they lost. Mark, with Rashi out till October, who's your ideal front three? Says Sam Harrison. Well, remember, it's not definite that Rashford's out till October. Ollie's dropped a hint that they might decide to say don't have the operation. So I wouldn't necessarily agree that Rashford is going to be out. Rashford, I think, will go away on holiday, come back and say, I feel a bit better, which he will. And United might just go, oh, that's good. Mark, Pro Clubs tonight on Twitch, perhaps, says Daniel. I haven't got a Pro Clubs team, mate. We need a centre-back who will learn from Cavani, says Damesh. Well, we've got that in Mason Greenwood. And a trophy at least, says Advath. Yeah, I mean, look, I would like to think that United would win the FA Cup. I don't really care about the Carabao Cup. But the FA Cup would be a nice trophy to win. We've sort of flirted with it for the last few years, so it'd be nice. Your thoughts on reports that United have bid for Koulibaly, says Aban Mew. I don't think that we have. That's my thoughts on that. Abhishek, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. I mean, look, I'd bring Koulibaly into the club as another centre-back for 30 million quid. I'd like to see that happen. I mean, you know what, though? What I would say is, if we did buy another centre-back, maybe we are going to a back five, which I don't really want to see. But why would you want to bring in another really good centre-back? Hi, Mark. Can you please say a big hello to all the Mauritian Man United fans watching? There are many of them, I can see. Says Dorvesh. Yes, hello everybody from wherever you are watching. Thank you very much. I'm just going to check what the latest is, because one thing I can guarantee you is that while I'm live, there will be a lot of there's always a lot of news coming in. So let's have a quick look. See what we've got coming in. Football fans will need a two-jab COVID vaccination to attend matches with a capacity of 16,000 from the end of September, which seems a bit weird because everyone can attend without them in August. This update is from in relation to Varane, actually. I should have brought this in. So this is coming in from at Lucas Naravati M, who is chief editor for SB Nation's Real Madrid site. And what they're saying is, and I've read this via the United Journal, is that Manchester United have leverage in the negotiations, but Real Madrid will be expected to reject the offer of 45 million euros plus 5 million in bonuses. So it will be up to United to improve their bid. In the end, a 55 million compromise could be reached given the circumstances. And this goes back to what we were talking about on this morning's show. The price is now, when the price is right, the deal is done. 50 million euros, 50 million pounds. 50 million pounds is 60 million euros. 50 million euros is 40 million pounds. So basically, there is a gap. There is a gap of 10 million pounds between what Man United want to pay and what Real Madrid want to pay. And if we keep it in English money, United want to pay 40 million. In English money, Real Madrid want 50 million. And that's where we're at with this. And, maybe we do a deal for 45. Maybe we do a deal for 45. But as I said this morning, he's 28. He's only just 28. We're going to get at least 5 years of Varane at his best. He's won more than anybody in our team. It's a cracking deal for United. And I hope we don't take too long negotiating a fee, because I tell you what, if Chelsea came in and bought him for 60 million euros, we'd all be suddenly saying we should have paid 50 million. So if we are negotiating, I hope we're negotiating cleverly, because I don't want to see us losing. I mean, if we pay them 60 million euros, he's still a bargain at 50 million quid. And that's the, and there's a few people from Spain saying that at the moment, to be fair, that the only slowdown on this deal now will be how long Manchester United and Real Madrid take to negotiate through this deal together, because that's the only hold up now. And that's the latest around Varane at the moment. Let me just come back to the chat. Spurs are buying a player, but that's got nothing to do with us. Saul Niguez. People keep asking me about Saul Niguez. I'm actually doing a video on Saul Niguez, which does mention United. Should be up for about 4 o'clock on That's Football. So I will mention Saul Niguez in more depth there. But I certainly wouldn't rule it out. Hi Mark, what's your expectations of Ollie to be able to support him the next months and further, says Renate. And also, do you think they are delaying the announcing Sancho to protect him after racial abuse on social media, says Justin? No. Welcome. I mean, look, on that very serious point, you can't not announce, and get your questions in actually, we'll take some of your questions now. You can't put back a signing because they've been racially abused, because that allows the people who've been racist to win. I think United have put this Sancho deal back because they want to put it back. And I personally think we might not see it this week now. We might see it next week when he's back from his holiday. So, when it happens, it happens. We know it's going to happen. As for what Renate said about Ollie, I mean, look, we will start to talk about this more and more over the coming weeks. Transfer window is about transfer window, as we know. But with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he is going to get his new contract in the next 3 weeks. That will be announced. He will be the manager until I think we'll see another year of Ollie at least. I don't see how you fail with this team. He's a very lucky manager in many ways, because every time he's flirted with the sack, he's found a way out. And he's now sitting over a position that I think Mourinho, Van Gaal, Moyes would look at and go, I wish I'd had that level of backing. Now, those managers got backed, but if you look at what Ollie's backing has been, he's been given £50 million for Wan-Bissaka, £80 million for Harry Maguire, £60 million for Bruno Fernandes. We're now spending another £80 million on Jadon Sancho, another £50 million on Varane. So that's 50, 80, 130, 60, 190, another 80, 270, another, it's 320 million. He's at about 350 million. Oh, he's had Van der Beek as well, 355 million. Dan James, 370 million. He's had about 400 million quid. You won't see this story written because it doesn't fit with what the story needs to be, but he's had 400 million pounds. If you add it up, 400 million, and not net, of course players have been gone, but Marvin Ayemi spent 400 million quid. I don't think any of the other managers really had that level of backing, and I think the most important thing, Ahmad as well, yeah, beyond 400 then, beyond 400. So he's had a massive amount of backing, Ollie. And I said this morning. I don't know what people think. I back Ollie to do well and I want him to do well. But he's almost backed into a corner now where he can't not do well. And I think the worst thing that would happen is that we just kept finishing third or fourth. Because I think that team, I genuinely think most people could manage that team to fourth place. It's too good to finish outside the top four. The thing is, are our coaches good enough to take us to first place? And that's what I'm hoping for, because we are building a team now that should be good enough to challenge for a title. And that's the challenge. I don't think, and look, I might be wrong here, I don't think the Ollie Outers are going to be sat there at Christmas saying, I told you so. He's a load of... If I was an Ollie Outer, I'd be worried. Because all this P talk and Ollie the Wally, I don't really think there's going to be an opportunity for you to see that. I don't really think we're going to lose a lot of games next season. The football might not be good, but the football wasn't good with Southgate, and he still got us to a final. So I think that this is a massive season for Solskjaer. And, you know, going back to what Renate said, I've just got a funny feeling it's going to be a good one. I do. I think it will be a good season for United. And yeah, let's hope it is, because that's what we want to see. But he has had over 400 million quid spent on him. He can't argue that he's been blocked. He's not been backed. And also the interesting thing with Ollie is how many first choice signings did he get? Maguire would have been a first choice. Wan-Bissaka would have been a first choice. Sancho's a first choice. Bruno is a first choice. Varane is definitely a first choice. I mean, Van der Beek wasn't, but he's had a lot of first choice signings as well. So yeah, he's got to succeed. He's got to succeed. And look, I'm not saying it's a net spend. A net spend would be down below 300 million, but he's had 400 million quid spent on him. So you know, he's got to do well. This season for me has to be a good season on many levels. We've got to play good football. We've got to win a lot of games, and we've got to be in the equation with Chelsea and Man City. I'm not saying we're going to win it, but we've got to be able to, you know, consistently win. And what I don't want to see is when we're playing Man City is park the bus 2 times a season. I want to see us, you know, use the players that we've got. You don't need to park the bus with Varane and Maguire. You don't need to park the bus when you've got Sancho and Pogba and Bruno. You know, we've got to find a style of play that is the United way this season. What if we try Wan-Bissaka at CDM if we get Trippier? Abel, football's not for you, mate. I'll move on from that point very, very quickly. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a centre defence midfielder. Have you ever heard such crap in all your life? Ram says 80 points plus second place finish at least. Ram, I've said it. I'll say it right now. If I was Manchester United, I would... I would say that... I forgot what I was going to say there. No, exactly what I was going to say. I remember what I was going to say. I said it last season. For me, I'm not talking about positions because I think the last 2 years are false, aren't they, really? We finished third, but we were on the same points as Chelsea. And last year we finished second, but we fell away. Don't take anything away from those positions. We deserve them. But I think it's dangerous to say, let's finish second. Because if you finish second, you could finish second with 74 points and be miles off Man City. I want to set a points total. I want us to get 80 points. And I think that's what Ollie will do as well. Mark, do you think Varane will help Wan-Bissaka not get caught on the back post so much as Amit? I'm very excited to see about that, Amit, actually. Because I think that is a really interesting scenario to see whether that... that's a positional issue with Wan-Bissaka, or as I suspect, it was a tactical decision to tell Wan-Bissaka to tuck in and protect Lindelof, which he won't need to do. Varane is 6'3", and he defends well in the air. We will all be sat here as pensioners in 50 years waiting for Sancho to be confirmed, says Dan Carter. I'd rather we win that than play exciting football like Leeds, says Brian. But we've got better players than Leeds, so we can play exciting football and win. If you play well with very good players, you'll win trophies. If you play well with inferior players, you'll just play well. Like Leeds can't win a title no matter how well they play. They just haven't got the quality to do it. Ndidi or Kessie, says Brian. We won't get Ndidi. I saw a brilliant thing about Leicester today. It was like this infograph, and it was about all the players that they've got. They've got about 13 players who are like average age to like 22. Leicester are not going to go anywhere, I don't think. Yeah, we won't get Ndidi. Kessie from AC Milan was meant to be going to Chelsea. I like Kessie, but again, I feel he's more box to box, so I don't think he's what we're looking for. If Pogba left, I'd look at him. L17JJE says, Mark, do you think we need another leader in the holding midfield CDM role? Well, yeah, you do need a... You want a spine. United's spine at the moment, you've got Cavani, you've got Bruno, Maguire and Varane, hopefully. So you've got 4 players out of your, 6 that are very strong there. The goalkeeping, if you could have De Gea at his best, would be strong. And then who's your midfielder? If it's a 2, it's Pogba, but the other position's got to be somebody strong. If I had to pick a CDM from what we've currently got at United, who would you go with? If you had to pick a CDM from what we've currently got, who would you go for? Because I would go with Pogba and Fred. I like Pogba and Fred. I don't like Pogba and McTominay. I don't think they work very well. The Delta says, best presenter of any football channel, Mark. Oh, thanks, pal. I read that and I didn't realise you were talking about me. Yeah, I like Fred and Pogba the best. If I've got to use somebody from what we've got, I like Fred and Pogba the best. I thought the Sevilla semi-final a year ago, we played crap at the back and we missed loads of chances up front, but I thought Fred, Pogba and Bruno ran that midfield against a very good Sevilla side. So I think Fred, Pogba and Bruno can work, and I think that's the best that we've got. But Ollie loves to have a tall person there, which is why he plays McTominay. Anybody who's saying Lindelof at centre-back, centre defensive midfielder, football's not for you. It's my opinion. Football's not for you. If you think Lindelof is a centre defensive midfielder, football's not for you. The guy can't even mark a West Brom forward, and you're telling me he can run a midfield. He ain't got the physicality to run a midfield. He hasn't got the aerial ability in that area as well. There are a lot of balls that get knocked over. But more importantly, and that's why Ollie likes to play McTominay, because he's worried about the ball over the top. Although with Varane, you shouldn't be worried too much. But Lindelof is not a CDM. He's not mobile enough. He's not strong enough. He's not good enough. He's not a CDM. And why should Man United be putting square pegs into round holes as well? We may as well put Varane at CDM, says Orist. Yeah, I agree. I'll tell you who would have been a good shout I tell you what, as an outside, and I wouldn't do it anyway, I still think it's very dangerous, but if you want one player that I think you could turn into a centre defence midfielder, is Twansebi. I think Twansebi can play CDM. He's got the body shape, he's got the body balance, he's got the passing ability, short and long, and he's physical enough to do it. I think that he's the only player I think looks like you could drop him in at CDM. But no way. I mean, imagine Harry Maguire at centre defence midfield. It's the same with Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka. Even Luke Shaw's not a CDM, and he's very mobile. It's such a specialist position. But I think that Twansebi would be a shout. But we need his passing ability, maybe not up to it. But you need it's one of the most important positions in football. It's a very hard position to play. Wayne Rooney couldn't play that. Lionel Messi couldn't play that. I don't think Paul Pogba can play it, and he plays in a position very close to it. Jones is a CDM. Oh, God. Yeah, apparently Phil Jones can play there. Garner needs to go on loan, Kieran, definitely. Fosu Mensah we've sold, so don't even mention. Thomas Stalos, one of our members, I can see he's got the badge next to it. It's nice to see the badges, actually. It looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Still confused why we couldn't called our interest in Samari. Leicester got a great deal there. Could have been ideal at CDM. Thomas makes a great point here. I don't know why we weren't in for Samari. We were interested in Samari 18 months ago. He goes to Leicester for 20 million quid. Don't know why United aren't in for these types of players. Why are we not in for Samari? Why were we never in for Ndidi before he came over to England? Why were we never in for Kante? Why weren't we in for Fabinho? Why aren't we in for Zakaria? These players are well known. They're well known by fans, by you. I've been doing this show for years. The amount of players Sometimes I'll go, I don't really know much about them, let me go and have a look at them. A lot of people are talking about the lad from France at the moment, Kamara. Not seen enough of him, but I tell you what, I trust your judgment that he's probably a very good player. Why are we not scouting these sort of players? And the thing is, Tielemans is another one. Like, why are we not looking at them? They're going to play for Leicester, and Leicester have challenged for the top 4 for the last 3 or 4 years. So they're not rubbish, but we don't seem to clock these players quick enough. And I don't know why. Do you think our defence can surpass all defences in the league, as Maguire and Varane is the first and second best at headed clearances, says Hadrian Wong? I think Man City have got the best defence in the world at the moment, so they'll do well to do that if they can do that. A lot of it will come down to the goalkeeper as well. We need a CDM with dynamism, and Axel is only centre-back with technical ability and dynamism. His passing is better than Fred and Scott for me. Yeah, but Ollie's clearly not interested in him trying him there, is he? Get Kariki back at CDM. I'd rather have Kariki back at CDM than Lindelof, I'll tell you that. Lindersoft, as Jay calls him. United are always in for obvious targets. What's the point of having scouts if you don't trust them, says Ranbir. Well, I mean, look, Palestri was well scouted, wasn't he? I mean, what a player he looks like he's going to be. But it just shows you maybe we should do that a little bit more. Because we have had many different coaches, says James Callahan. Thanks for the super chats, by the way. Enjoying the chat, actually. I don't normally do a show at this time, but well, I do. I normally just do like a quick update, but it's actually, I'm actually quite enjoying all the chat. Kariki is the man for CDM spot. Kariki, get your kit off. No, not again. No, I mean CDM. You're playing CDM, Kariki. Saul at CDM, says Paras. Make sure you watch That's Football at around 3:30. I've got a video on Saul Niguez going up about the wider beyond United, but it does mention United. Let's play GTA together, says Devanch. Well, I'll be on tonight at 10:30 on Twitch. You might be able to, find a way onto whatever online world I'm on. Mark, if you could sign any Czech player in their prime, in their present or the past, who would you bring into United's current squad? Danny Doritos. Czech players? Probably Peter Cech. He was a fantastic goalkeeper, and I think Petr Cech in his prime would be very welcome at Manchester United right now. I'm a massive fan of De Gea, but I'm bored of the De Gea Henderson thing, and I think we're going to have another year of it. So, yeah, I'd probably go with Petr Cech. Nedved was very good, but I think Petr Cech would be welcome at United now. Who is Kariki? If you don't know who Kariki is, you don't know football. That's the 3 times I've said that today. How about Souček? Nah. City news, check it out. City will be relegated. Why, have they done something bad? I can't see anything about it. Funnily enough, Grand Theft Auto Online is trending. Oh no, this because there's been some updates. Nothing massive there. Nothing huge. Make sure you smash a like on the video if you're watching, by the way. Let's have a look. Can we play online together tonight? Says Devanshi. Well, let's see. Donny is CDM. He's done it for Ajax, says Isaac. Donny needs to be part of this team next season before we start talking about where he's going to play. I've got to say, like sometimes you just want the transfer window to close because you don't want a player to go. I remember it being like this with De Gea. I just want to get to a situation with Donny van der Beek where he is playing for Manchester United next season. That's what I want to see. Donny van der Beek in a Manchester United shirt next season. That's what I want to see. Me for CDM, says Sahel. Oh, I'd love to play. I mean, that's the thing as well. I don't think this gets spoken about enough. A decent CDM. If you're, you know what, Declan Rice, have a word. Oi, Declan, have a word with your owners. Get in there and say, oi, mister, I'll chuck you down the apple and pears in a minute if you don't let me get a move to old United Town, Man United. Get me a move to Man United, apples and pears. Because if I'm Declan Rice or I'm Ndidi or I'm a good CDM, and United ring up and say, we want you to be the final piece in our jigsaw. And our jigsaw looks like this. David De Gea in goal. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Raphael Varane, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw. You know Harry and Luke from your England exploits. Raphael Varane's one of the best centre-backs in the world. You, there, running the midfield. Next to you, Paul Pogba or Donny van der Beek. In front of you, Bruno Fernandes. To your left, Marcus Rashford or Anthony Martial. On the right, Jadon Sancho. Up front, Edison Cavani. That final piece in that team, who doesn't want that? Why doesn't Ollie want that? You know, that final piece is not a hard sell. You've got Varane and Maguire behind you. You've got a world-class goalkeeper behind that in De Gea. You've got Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka, very good fullbacks. You've got Paul Pogba and Bruno, two of the best midfielders in Europe. You've got Rashford and Sancho, two of the most exciting young wide players in Europe. And then you've got Cavani, one of the best strikers in Europe. And then look at the bench. Look at what we got on the bench. We've got people like Greenwood, etc. So it's not a hard sell. It's a hard buy. That's the problem. Have United got the funds to go and get that final piece? It's not a hard sell. It's not like Arsenal trying to buy Declan Rice, where he's like, you're joking, I've got a better future at West Ham. Like, this is Manchester United with the team that we've got, and you're the final piece. You know, and you also, as a signing, you know you're walking straight into that team. Sometimes you go to a club and you're like, where do I fit in here then? You know, do I even get a spot? But it's such an easy sell. It's not an easy buy. If you don't understand Karaki, how are you going to ever understand Varane, Amadi, Jadon, Lingardi? You got to watch Marky Moore, says Sheikh. Exactly. So yeah, I think the problem that United have probably got here is down to the fee, isn't it? Hopefully, Agent Luke is working his magic, says Iron. Yeah, Luke Shaw's on holiday with Declan Rice. So's Mason Mount. I've seen him on a boat. What Luke Shaw needs to do is he needs to shoulder barge Mason Mount into the sea and then speed off, right? Get on the phone to Coast Guard and say, you'll find Mason Mount swimming in his Chelsea shorts about half a mile out from the shore. You better get there quick. And then you fly. You don't fly because boats don't fly. You just cruise off into the sunset with Declan Rice. You get United DVDs out from 99 season and you say, Declan, we ain't going back ashore until you tell me you're coming to United. So Luke Shaw is on holiday with him. Do you think Agent Shaw? But look, of course, Declan Rice wants to go to Chelsea. We know that. But maybe Chelsea aren't going to make a move. That was a made-up story, by the way. Mason Mount's not swimming around off the coast of Greece. Terrified. And he can swim. Mason Mount can swim anyway. I've seen his 100-metre badge. Do you think Twan Sebi at CDM for pre-season games is a good idea? King, no, it's not a good idea because we're going to sell him, so there's no point. Danny Doritos says, Mark, I was so disappointed that Depay failed at United. Any thoughts on why he failed? Because he was shit. Next question. No, he failed because the club was too big for him. Sometimes it happens. It was too big a club for him. Let's see what he does at Barcelona as a more experienced player, but maybe it was too much too young. Hey Mark, there is something going on about Man City as they've been asked to hand over some documents as United. Interesting. City have lost their appeal to keep details of the status of the Premier League's investigation into Hackney Wales Confidential. Interesting, Mark, says Amit. I don't know how interesting that will be. Welcome to the Members Club, Ollie Gunnar Solskjaer. Thank you very much, Ollie. You might learn a few things on here. James Garner will be a CDM of the future, Daniel, yes. Could Varane be vice-captain when he comes in, says Andy McManus. I don't know. Can you do a whole show doing an Ollie impression, says Leo Man United. Well, it's not really an Ollie impression that I do. It's just a voice that sounds, Karaki. Hello and welcome to United Standy. It's Ollie here, and we're going to do a show about Varane to Manchester United for £50 million. No, I get bored myself. What you just said is exactly the same thing Dortmund said about Haaland. We need you up front, plain and simple, no bullshit, says Architect. Yes. Yeah, but the thing is, who is the midfielder that we're going for? Because if you're saying it to Harry Winks, you've got a bit of a problem. If you're saying it to Declan Rice or Ndidi or somebody very good, then, you're in with a shout, aren't you? Please smash a like on the video. We're nearly at 2,000 likes, by the way. And make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. We do have an 8 o'clock show tonight, as per usual. Now, No one has a chance against City this year, says Mackie. Apart from the fact that Chelsea beat them 3 times in a row at the end of last season and beat them in a Champions League final. So I think Chelsea will be early favourites as well. But look at United's first few fixtures. Renate's going to watch Twitch tonight. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a bit of Twitch tonight. It's been a while. Got my United Red controller up. Be a bit of gaming on there tonight. 10:30 on Twitch. Who has actually seen Droughty? Is he actually Fabi Romano's? Would explain why Marky always gets breaking news, says AJ Singh. I've seen Droughty. He's definitely not Fabrizio Romano. Any of the up-and-coming players from the youth for CDM, says Nats. Garner, Levitt maybe. Galbraith isn't really a right back, but all of them need a loan move, and none of them would be trusted to run that role now as things stand. Do you think Agent Jaden will help us get Haaland, says Siddharth? Haaland's an interesting one, and I'm more than happy to answer this now because it's not right near the start of the show. There's a scenario here, and I think with football, don't ever assume that you know what's going on in football, because you don't. Would you take Casemiro as Real want pounds for Mbappe? I would. I'd love Casemiro. I think he's only about 29 still as well, so I would. On the Haaland thing, if United get Pogba to sign a new deal, which I don't think we will, but if we got Pogba to sign a new deal, then that means you're on board with Raiola. If you're on board with Raiola, that means Gravenbach, that means Malen, that means Dumfries, that means all these players that are under Raiola are possibly coming to United at some point in the future. But above all things, I wish you love. Classic Whitney. Above all things, if you get Paul Pogba to sign a new contract at Manchester United that makes him commit his future to United, there's absolutely a better chance that you get Erling Haaland next summer. Because if Pogba's staying at United, he's happy. If Pogba's happy, Riola's happy. If United have got Pogba, Varane, Sancho, Bruno, Luke Shaw, Maguire, David De Gea, and all the other good players that we've got, and Raiola and Pogba are happy, and Haaland wants to move, Haaland gets on well with Ollie, Raiola and Pogba are getting on well with Ollie, Sancho gets on well with Haaland, United are doing well, it could happen. But I tell you what, percentage-wise, probably only about 10% likely, because I don't think Pogba will sign a new contract. And I don't therefore think we'll have a good relationship with Mino Raiola. But Ollie would love Haaland at United. I think Haaland at United would be explosive, exciting, and a perfect fit. The problem with Erling Haaland is his agent. But, people say Riola's a problem. Is Raiola only a problem because he's the most public agent out there? There's probably a lot worse agents than Mino Raiola out there. They just don't... They're not publicly out there like Raiola. Most of these agents are greedy, out for themselves and out for their clients. That's what they are. Agents don't represent football clubs. So, they're always going to be viewed as, parasites in relation to football. Why in the pratty prat? So United not announcing Sancho? Are they trying to drag the hype to get more attention or something? Says Danny. And, thanks everyone who's become a member, by the way. You get a little badge next to your name if you are a member. Thanks for supporting the club. When does everyone think? Oh, I must just run a poll on this. When do you all think that that Sancho will be signed? I'm past caring, so what I'm about to say, I really don't care whether I'm right or wrong, because he is going to be a United player. But my prediction is that we are going to announce him around when he comes back from his holiday. So I think it will be next week, like Vandy Canby said. Some of you saying today, some of you saying August the 7th. I just think it wouldn't make a lot of sense for us to announce it today, because the medical was done a week ago. It's a week since Sancho did his wet medical. But, part of me is hoping United are doing something intelligent, but there might be some really rubbish reason and they're just waiting to announce it. I don't know. But I've got to say I'm past caring, because I feel that they've lost the initiative on it. It should have been done last Wednesday, really. So I think their best bet is to probably wait longer to try and get some of that momentum back, because... But the thing is, maybe they won't wait till he comes back from training, because when he comes from holiday, he'll go straight to training anyway. So Yeah, but I just think next week, like Thomas Silgunir said, one of our members, I can see the badge there. But I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, Malp says maybe they've got Varane on the trombone and Sancho on the piano. Yeah, maybe they're trying to build a band. You know, get a couple more signings in. If Varane signs, he must be announced before Sancho, says Ben. And they could do two together. Could do two together. Apparently they wanted him on the piano, but Sanchez has nicked the piano. Lezago, thank you very much. Varane and Sancho announced together. That's their plan, says Ken Craddock. I mean, I do like the double announcement. I do like that. Everyone likes a double. These deals been wrapped up. No need for people to stress out, says Vader is dead. Exactly, Vader. I mean, I think that Sancho is a Man United player. There's no stress about it. Welcome to the Members Club, Danny Doritos. Thank you very much for joining. Yeah, there's no reason to stress about it at all. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. We're going to be back at 8 o'clock. It's been a really good show. Really enjoyed, actually, that afternoon chat. I hope you have as well. 2 more signings after Varane. Could be the case. Probably Trippier. Hopefully a midfielder. Could be a further centre-back. Weird or not, we probably are going to be in a situation where we've got Varane, Maguire and Lindelof. Bailly could leave, Jones could leave, and Twansebi could leave. So we would need another one. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you at 8 o'clock unless something happens before then.